Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third installment of the Widgets and Digits walkthrough series. Today, we're going to be talking about level 3 of Widgets and Digits Boardroom Battle, but really, it's kind of a combo. It's also going to segue into the full executive experience, which is where you combine Boardroom Battle with Worker Wars for kind of the full way to play Widgets and Digits. So I'm going to do this one over the virtual game. It's just a little easier for me to kind of mess things around, to set them up and get rid of things. And I'm just going to kind of talk about each of the boardroom battle abilities because that's really the only change with this new game mode. And just kind of also throw in some strategy tips and some other tidbits about the game. My assumption is if you've made it this far, you've played the game a little bit or have some game knowledge. So we're just going to focus on the new information and maybe some extra pieces that you might not have noticed while you played. So first things first, what is Boardroom Battle? So the new thing that is added with this game mode is we're going to be using this Boardroom Battle deck. Okay, so it comes in a special box inside the game, and it has this blue background. Now, what's different in this game mode is we've given the tier 2 cards card abilities. So what do I mean when I say tier? So in the game, tier is basically the capacity of a stage. So at base, everything is tier 1 because there's a capacity of 1 unit that can pass through. So a tier 1 sourcing card is just the base sourcing stage. Tiers go up to 4. So here we see a tier 4 sourcing card. Notice how it is a capacity of 4. And there are tier 3 sourcing cards, which would be a capacity of 3. And then this is an example of the tier 2 sourcing card, right? So in the game, there are 3 tiers for every stage, and there are 3 sets of cards for each the tier 4 and tier 3. These being the higher tiers that can make you more money. And then there's a double set of the tier 2 cards. So there'd be 6 tier 2, 3 tier 3, and 3 tier 4 for each stage. And that makes up the whole deck. So there's 48 cards in the deck. Now, why are there 3 of each? That's because there's slightly different prices and worker requirements for each stage. So, for example, if we're looking at the tier 2, these would be the example of the 3 different tier 2 in the sourcing stage. So as you can see, there is kind of a trade-off between the price to buy the card and the worker requirement for each card. So the dog is the cheapest card to buy, but has the highest worker requirement, all the way up to Broken Mineral Analyzer, which is the most expensive of the tier 2s, but has the least worker requirement. And depending on the game mode you're playing in, there might be advantages or disadvantages to going with either more upfront spending and less spending over time, or less upfront spending and more spending over time. So you kind of have this distribution for each tier of cards in the deck, and that kind of makes up the different types of cards that you see. Okay, so a little bit of a technical intro of the different types, the different bell curves of cards in the game. But this is definitely helpful as you kind of strategize. It helps you understand the variations in prices you're going to see. So the cheapest possible cards in the game are $4, and then basically everything goes up in increments of 4. So the cheapest card would be 4, and the most expensive tier 4 card would actually be $20. And then the least number of workers you'll see is 1 worker in tier 2. Up to the most number of workers you'll see is actually 5 workers in tier 4. Okay, so, and then everything's kind of a bell curve within that. So the average number of workers per card is 3, right in the middle of 1 and 5. The average price of cards is $12, right in the middle of 4, all the way up to 20. Okay, this information is definitely going to be helpful when you play Worker Wars, where you're really trying to estimate how many workers to get and how much, should you re-roll to potentially get a lower worker card. Well, lower worker cards will always be more expensive, so knowing these numbers can definitely help you kind of make an educated guess on how many workers to go for. Okay, now bringing it all back to Boardroom Battle and why we're here today, the tier 2 cards, so that being the cards that have a capacity of 2, are all going to now have an ability. And you can tell they have an ability because they have this blue border around the stage icon and this kind of card flavored text box. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of walk you through each of the cards with an ability and kind of explain how their ability works, and and I'll also kind of mention some of the other cards they might have a nice combo with, which definitely shows up in this game mode. So basically, in classic mode, when you bought a card, it would just kind of slot into the space and upgrade the stage's capacity, and that's the benefits you'd get. In Boardroom Battle, not only do you get that capacity benefit, but you also get the benefit of the ability. Now, some of these abilities are permanent abilities, and some of these abilities are kind of one-off abilities. And I'll explain some of the differences there. So the first card we're going to look at is the dog card. So the dog card, flavored text, he loves to dig. This is one of our favorite cards, possibly our favorite card in the deck. He is not just cute, he's also a great card. So his ability is when he's discarded, you can dig through the discard pile and you can buy one card in there at 50% off its cost, right? So what does discarded mean? So you know how each card has a sell value here in the upper right hand corner? When you discard a card, you forfeit its sell value. So if you were to sell the dog, you could get $2 back. But if you discard him and don't take that $2, you can go into the discard pile and you can get a card for half off. And since cards can get up to $20 in price, this is potentially saving you up to $10, on buying the card. That makes it a really powerful card. Not only that, but since you can pick any cards you want, it makes it really easy to kind of plug holes in your engine by buying the stage you need. And if you're paying attention to what cards people are discarding or selling, you definitely can set yourself up for a really nice pickup here. All right. Love the dog. Really good card. Just, an absolute fun card. One thing to be aware of, though, so this is a on discard ability. A lot of times people will see this card for sale and they'll want to just buy it and discard it immediately. They might already have a sourcing card. If you buy a card and you already have a sourcing card, you must sell that card in order to buy a new one, even if you plan to discard it immediately. So the dog is good, but if you already have a sourcing card, even if you just want to use the dog for its ability, you will have to sell your sourcing card to free up that slot. So bear that in mind as you consider using the dog. Next card we're going to look at is the Canary Actuary. So flavored text on this card is something smells off about these mine safety reports. This is possibly one of the deepest cut jokes in this game. So for those of you who don't know, canaries used to be used by miners to detect poisonous gases. So that's hence the smell aspect. And actuaries are actually a very specific kind of variation on accountants who analyze risk, typically related to insurance. So being that this is a canary whose job is analyzing risk, she says something smells off about these mine safety reports. I will assume everybody is just dying with laughter at this absolute genius comedy coming out of this game, and I will just continue on. So Canary is the only card who has an ability that is specific to one of the expansions. So Canary's ability only works when you're playing with the Worker Wars rule set. And what her ability is it's always active. So as soon as you buy her, this is a permanent ability. Basically, because she's such a benefit to the safety of your business, workers would rather work for you. And when you hire workers, you get to pay $1 less than you would normally. So normally, when you bid for workers, you say, I bid $1, and you have to pay $1 per worker. Well, with Canary, you would pay $0 because you'd be paying $1 less than your bid. So Canary is great because you can really bid high, like bid $2 per worker, and it's it's basically as if you bid $1, right? So it makes it really easy to win labor bidding every single round, but not have to pay a ton of money. Very powerful card. We call this the labor bully's friend. If you plan on dominating the labor market, Canary is gonna be your best friend. All right, definitely a powerful card for someone who wants to really dominate that labor market and really make sure that they dictate how much workers they get and how much everybody else gets. Yes, and so if you don't play with the Worker Wars rule set, this card is just assumed to not have an ability. Still a good card. It's a low-cost sourcing card, but definitely that ability is a game changer in Worker Wars. All right, next card we have here is the Broken Mineral Analyzer, also known as BMA for people who don't have the time to say the full name. Flavor text here, can't tell a rock from a hard place. Not too good for a mineral analyzer, I say. Okay, well, I'm going to read all the jokes. If you don't like it, you could skip ahead in the video. All right. So Broken Mineral Analyzer is a once per turn ability. So this is a permanent ability of the card, but you can only use it once per turn. And basically, it allows you to look at the top 6 cards of the deck and discard 3 and then put the other 3 back on top in any order. So essentially, you're rigging the next draw. Now, you don't get to just immediately draw them out. You'd still have to pay for a refresh, but you're basically guaranteeing that what's in the next 3 cards. And if you don't pay for a refresh, you know that the next person down the line is going to get those 3 cards. Very powerful ability. One thing to say is that abilities have to, like, if you trigger this ability, you have to play this out. You can't activate another ability in the middle of this. This is important because there's another card called the Big Red Button, which has an ability that it triggers, like, you're going to be drawing cards to activate its ability. If you started using the Big Red Button, you have to finish that ability. You cannot use BMA in the middle of it. Likewise, if you're using BMA, you have to finish doing BMA's setup before you do the Big Red Button. This is specifically done so that you don't synergize BMA with Big Red Button, because that is a much too powerful combo, and I'll explain why in a second. Okay. So this is a pretty straightforward card, really powerful. I mean, this basically this gives you a ton of control over the course of the game, whether it's helping you figure out, what your next couple cards are going to be, or helping you kind of screw other people who are trying to look for particular cards. Really like this card. Definitely results in long turns, though, so we call that the we really need a sand timer card. All right, next ability is the Trained Sloth. This is an upgrade for the fabrication stage. And the Trained Sloth is a when played ability. So as soon as you buy the sloth, you have to use its ability immediately. All right. And then what its ability is, oh wait, let me flavor text. Sorry, almost missed it. Trained Sloth, he's not our fastest employee, which is a shame because his name is, of course, Speedy the Sloth. All right. So his ability, when played, you train the sloth, right? Because he's a trained sloth. You got to train him. And his ability is he copies the ability of a card currently in play. So that means if you had BMA, like if you had just bought this last turn, and then you buy a Trained Sloth, you could copy BMA, and you essentially could activate this ability twice in the same turn. Pretty cool, right? Or if somebody else has a cool ability, like this guy over here has Canary, right? Then you could copy that person's ability. So you can copy your own abilities. You can copy other people's abilities. It allows you to do certain abilities twice. There are abilities like for Canary, see how Canary causes it so that you have to pay $1. You get to pay $1 less when you hire workers. If you copy Canary, it stacks. You now pay $2 less, which means you can bid $3 every single time, and you're only paying $1 a worker. Just absolutely crushing the labor market, right? So this allows you to stack powerful abilities. It allows you to duplicate powerful abilities. If somebody's got something you like, the Sloth lets you get it. So we love the Sloth. Definitely a fun card. Really opens up a lot of flexibility with what you can do in your engine. All right, the Big Red Button. I mentioned this card before. It's a game changer. And flavor text, you want to. I mean, what can I say? It's a big red button, right? So what is this card's ability? Essentially, this card is a coin flip, and if it goes your way, you get to rob somebody, and if it doesn't go your way, the button blows up. All right? So the way it works is you have to shuffle first. So you have to shuffle the deck first. This is so you can't rig the draw with BMA. So you shuffle, and then you just draw the top card. And if it is a sourcing or a fabrication card, so a black or a red card, then you steal 2x from the richest competitor. What is x? X is the card refresh cost. So see the card refresh cost, it goes up every quarter. So this means you'll steal more the longer you kind of wait to use the button. If you wait until the last quarter, you're stealing $8 from whoever is the richest competitor. So that's a lot of money to steal, but you're also holding on to maybe a tier 2 card longer than you might normally. It's a bit of a trade off. If you hang on to this one, it could potentially be a big payout, or if it blows up, all that was for nothing. So it's kind of a high risk, high reward sort of scenario. If it's a purple or a green card, it blows up and you have to sell this card. That does mean you get your resale value. So the sell this card means you get $4 back. So it's not like you get totally nothing. But this is, an engine game. And if you create a hole in your engine by losing your fabrication stage later in the game, that could be a big risk. So this is definitely a high risk, high reward card. I'll tell you what, $8 can definitely win you the game. And it does quite often win the game. But blowing up the card in the middle of your turn could be a big problem too. Notice this is once per turn. Once per turn means once in any part of your turn. That means you can use it in the investing phase. You could use it in the production phase. You could use it in the upkeep phase. Sorry, forgot the names of the phases. Right. So any point in your turn, but only once per turn. Okay. All right, and that is the big red button. Definitely a fun card if you are looking for some chaos. Speaking of chaos, if you don't like chaos, you might like the invisible tool belt. Now, where did I put that thing? I imagine I lose tool belts all the time. If it was invisible, it would only be worse. So this is a permanent ability. You get this card, and you may ignore any negative competitor card effects, like the big red button. So say somebody bought this, they're really excited to try to rob you in the fourth quarter. You go ahead, pick up tool belt, then they're out of luck. All right. Now let's talk about some specific interactions here. All right. So if somebody does have tool belt and you activate the button and they were the richest person, does that mean you don't get to rob anybody? Nope. You still get to rob somebody. You just rob the next person down the line. And you keep going down the line unless everybody has tool belt, in which case then you don't get to rob anybody. What if there is a tie in the richest person? What if there's two people with the same amount of money? Well, if there's two people with the same amount of money, it has to be cash on hand. That's what we consider, not net worth. If there's two people with the same amount of money, then we go to we go to net worth and we consider the value of their engine. And if it's still a tie, then you just get to pick somebody. All right, we're trying to make it fair, but if it's still tied, you get to make some enemies. So, a couple contingencies there to look out for. All right, and then this is how you protect yourself from all kinds of mayhem. There are definitely more attack cards than Big Red Button, so if you like to play it safe and want to just focus on building up your money potential, this is potentially a great card for you to pick up. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Spittin' Prayers. Yep, that'll hold. This is kind of a gross card. Fun. So you might not have gotten this. From seeing some of the other cards, but each card is actually themed off of what would be a potential upgrade for that stage, right? So if you think about sourcing as a stage that gets raw materials, you'll notice that all of the cards are kind of related to like a mine. So if you were trying to upgrade a mine, you might get a dog to help you dig, right? Or, you might need a broken mineral analyzer. Notice that the tier 2 cards are all kind of crummy upgrades. Like, I don't think a dog is that good of an upgrade for a mine. But if you get all the way to the tier 4 cards, they're really good upgrades. Like a fusion drill would probably be an amazing upgrade for a mine, so on and so forth. So that is kind of the theming behind the cards in the game. Is tier 2 are like poor upgrades, tier 3 are like medium upgrades, tier 4 are like amazing upgrades, and then it's all associated with kind of the stage. So sourcing is like mining, fabrication is supposed to be some kind of like tool shop or fab house. So hence you have, an employee as like a sloth, not a very good employee, but like he's got his little wrench and his hammer. He could probably get some work done. A button, there's lots of buttons in factories. And then a tool belt you can't find. That could be elbow, I guess. Well, assembly is like the assembly where you're like packaging everything. So, you could spit on the box and stick it to the other box, and maybe it'll hold, right? That is the idea behind this upgrade here. Okay. So, what is Spit and Prayer's ability? This is an interesting one. When discarded, so remember, discard abilities, we forfeit the resale value. When discarded, you attach Spit and Prayers to another card and you increase its capacity by 1. Okay, so great example of this. Let's say you have Toolbelt, right? You love this card. Nobody's going to blow up a button on you. You're nice and safe. But it's not that good, right? It's a tier 2 card. Like, it's not producing enough and not making you enough money. Well, if you got Spit and Prayers, you could discard it, sacrifice its $2 resale, which isn't very much. And now, oops, Toolbelt becomes a tier 3 card because you've attached Spit and Prayers to it. So now you get all the benefit of this nice, neat little ability, but you're able to boost the card, so it's also making you money. Very powerful card, really nice. Another fun interaction here, Spit and Prayers is considered in play. So if somebody else was to pick up Sloth, they could copy Spit and Prayers and they could attach it to one of their cards, right? For more interactions, I'm sure there'll be situations where these come up. The rule book is very detailed. We tried to capture everything. So, you should be able to see if any weird situations happen, everything should be covered, right? So this is how Spit and Prayers works. It's it's an awesome card. You can basically make your favorite cards more powerful, or you can make really powerful cards super powerful. So very nice card. One thing to consider when you add it to a card, you can ignore the labor requirement. So which is also nice because in Worker Wars, these low labor cards are really powerful. So by attaching Spit and Prayers, you don't increase the labor requirement at all. It's just more capacity, which is great. But you also don't get to consider its resale value at the end of the game in your net worth calculation, right? Basically, it's considered discarded, so you already forfeited that, so it doesn't apply to your total business net worth at the end of the game. Okay, moving on. Let's go ahead and talk about pizza parties. All right, so pizza parties, better than bonuses, or at least that's what your manager would like you to believe. Pizza parties is a card that activates when it's sold. So on a sold ability means that you do get to collect your resale value. So when you sell this and you get your $4 back, you get to throw a pizza party for your hardworking team. And then you don't have to pay labor or wages that turn. So that's a really powerful card. In classic mode, you can just ignore the cost of all these, arm symbols. In Worker Wars, you don't have to pay $1 per cube the turn that you sell pizza parties. This synergizes really nicely with the Canary Actuary card because Canary will let you get a ton of workers, and if you sell pizza parties, you don't have to pay them. So really nice synergy there. This could potentially be a huge swing in value. So definitely something to look out for. If you're accumulating a lot of workers, you're going to want pizza parties so you don't have to pay them wages. All right? There might be a metaphor in here. Don't read too much into it. Yeah. So, and now one thing we do say is when you sell pizza parties, it might be helpful to just put it to the side that round so that you remember, oh, this is the round I sold pizza parties, and you don't forget to not pay wages that turn. Okay. Great card, very powerful, very easy to use. All right. Next one we have is Phil, Phillips head screwdriver. He goes by Phil now, right? Very simple ability. Once per turn, you get a free card refresh. Awesome ability. Everybody loves the ability to just get a refresh for free every turn. It really adds up as the refreshes get more expensive later on in the game, right? So Phil is a great pickup. Plus, he's a 1 labor card. So in Worker Wars, where labor is really tight, he's super nice. You get all those free refreshes, and he's really easy to slot into your engine. Sleazy. I love Sleazy. This is definitely in contention for one of my favorite cards. So, he's a sleazy car salesman. So his slogan is best trade-in value in town. Yeah. His ability is on discard. So remember, on discard abilities mean you forfeit that $2 resale value. You get to trade one of your upgrade cards for a competitor's of the same stage. trade. So a couple things are happening here. So first of all, you're forfeiting Sleazy, right? Because you're discarding him. Now, since you are discarding Sleazy, that means you can't trade Sleazy. So you can never use Sleazy to trade for retail cards. All right. So you're basically just trading in the other three stages. But essentially, what it is you get to swap one of your cards for a competitor's. So let's say this is the situation, right? Your competitor has this fancy fusion drill $16 value card, right? And you have the dog that you've been saving for his nice ability, but you pick up Sleazy. What you could do is you discard Sleazy, you forfeit that $2, and then you swap your dog with your competitor's fusion drill, right? And you are getting an amazing swap deal here. Your competitor is losing their super fancy card, and you're picking it up. And they get, they still get something. They still get your dog, which is a good card with a nice ability. But you're definitely making out like a bandit here, right? This is a pretty powerful card, definitely a tricky card to use correctly. You kind of have to look out for setups here where somebody has bought like a pretty big card maybe a little earlier on. But this is an absolutely devastating card. Do not underestimate how much value it will bring you, just like raw value from swapping a cheaper card for a more expensive one, but also how much it will absolutely devastate your opponent's engine to take out one of their larger, more valuable cards. This is a card people sleep on. I do think it is the highest skill card in the game to use correctly. It is also it's almost a game winner every single time if you pull it off. We are very cautious of Sleazy at this point. It almost has a psychological benefit to picking up Sleazy because anybody who's played before will be very cautious about buying valuable cards just because you have Sleazy. So from like a psychological defense perspective, it's a powerful card. Also, it has that huge swing value later in the game. All right, next ability is the Suggestion Box. So the Suggestion Box, which looks suspiciously like a garbage can, has another permanent ability. This ability is a once per turn, so you can use it once per turn. Remember, in any of the three phases, and you can trash a resource you own and collect its bottom row marketplace value from the bank. All right, so what does that mean? So let's say you have a raw material. If you wanted to sell this raw material, all right, the going rate is whatever, the next available spot is. So you could sell this guy for $4 normally. Well, with Suggestion Box's ability, you would trash it, which means instead of putting it in the marketplace, you would just return it to the stockpile, right? And instead of getting $4, you would get the bottom row value, which is always the number one value you can get of $7, right? So you basically get a lot more money, and you just trash it instead of putting it back in the marketplace, right? So instead of 4, you got 7. You made a nice $3. Now this also says you may trash a resource you own. That does mean you can buy something and then immediately trash it, right? Because technically you own it as soon as you bought it, right? So this is a bit of a free money card, which is nice. Also, if you're producing, if you get one of these like high value sourcing cards or something and you're starting to flood the market, it's really great for still getting extra value out of that. Remember, you can, double dip with this by getting Sloth, so you can really get a ton of money. Just a great card for just generating a lot of income. All right. So definitely look out for Suggestion Box. It's a really powerful card. Last card, possibly my favorite card. I know I have a lot of favorite cards, but the Boardroom Battle deck is definitely full of winners. Is Creative Accounting, a new masterpiece every tax season. So Creative Accounting's ability is always active. It's a permanent ability. And what it does is you're committing tax fraud. Woo! Basically, every competitor must pay $1 to the bank for every widget you sell in the retail stage. All right, so what does that mean? It means when you sell widgets, so when you run production, every time you sell a completed widget, which is basically every time you convert a finished good into $20, everybody else has to pay $1 to the bank. Not to you, unfortunately, sorry, but to the bank, right? So baseline, you'd be converting one widget. This is a retail upgrade, which means with creative accounting, you can convert 2 widgets, right? So basically, if you are able to feed 2 finished goods into this, everybody's paying $2, right? And that's every single turn, all right? Doesn't sound like too much, but we do know that this is a game where even a single dollar can be a high impact, can really impact people's games. And the value that this has of hitting all the other players is a lot. You're definitely going to suppress everybody else's free cash flow. But remember, certain cards can be comboed, right? So creative accounting has one of the most fun combos in the game. It is the most difficult combo in the game to pull off, but if you can pull it off, it's super fun. So remember, Spit and Prayers can be comboed, right, with another card to increase its capacity. So if you get a Spit and Prayers in a creative accounting, you can attach it, and now everybody, your capacity would go up to 3. If you can feed 3 finished goods in, not only are you starting to make a lot of money because 3 widgets is $60, right? Everybody's now paying $3. But for those of you who remember the beginning of the video, you say, wait, what does the sloth do? The sloth can be used to either copy Spit, right? And get another card you can attach, which would be quite powerful, bring us up to 4, right? Or the sloth can be used to copy creative accounting itself, and this does double the amount that everyone has to pay. Now, you got just 3 cards, these 3 cards, everybody, and you were able to feed 3 finished goods in, everybody now has to pay $6, right? So the theoretical max is, because there's 2 copies of sloth and 2 copies of Spit, is you could get creative accounting all the way up to 5 capacity and making everybody else pay $10 per turn, which would just be absolutely devastating, right? So it's a really tricky combo to pull off. You do need kind of a little bit of luck, but there are cards that can help you, like by cycling through the deck and searching for cards to help you kind of pull this off. I always love to go for this combo if I have a chance. It's tricky, but if you do pull it off, everybody hates you. You are the worst. So there's a lot of happiness to be derived from being that guy. All right. So that's all 12 cards in unique abilities in the Boardroom Battle deck. They're all pretty different, and there are 2 copies of each of them, so that makes 24 cards with abilities. Which makes Boardroom Battle a pretty wild game. As you've seen, a lot of these are kind of on discard or on sale. So there's a lot of kind of cycling through cards, whereas in some of the other game modes, it's a little bit more stable as you're just kind of slowly building up to your more powerful engine. So Boardroom Battle is really kind of all over the place. You're actually stealing from each other or blocking each other or like rigging card draws. So there's definitely a lot more chaos in this game mode. And it's definitely helpful to have a good sense of how to make money before you try this game mode because of the cycling you're going to be doing. And you really need to know how to make as much money as possible if you want to pull off some of these combos. So definitely recommend playing classic mode until you hit kind of that turtlenecks and magazine covers level. That kind of shows you that you know how to make money, and now you're ready to kind of add in some of this complexity. But I love Boardroom Battle. This is definitely one of the most fun game modes, and I love how it combines with Worker Wars. It's a very natural combination. So combining everything together is the executive experience. It's how we really like to play the game. Highly recommend it. Definitely give a couple tries of classic mode first before you add in all the crazy stuff. But once you pull it all together, it turns into a pretty, without too much additional rules, turns into a pretty complex and highly strategic game that you can have. That's also a lot of fun. Okay, so that's the end of our walkthrough series. Good luck playing the game, and if you have some fun widgets, make sure you're posting them on Board Game Geek or in the Discord. We'd love to see them. All right, have a good rest of your day, and thanks for signing in. Mr. Widget, out.